sing it. Can I ask you guys to finish that song with me? Does anybody know it? I'm going to be a rebel. Sing it with me here. Rebel, rebel. I don't know the word. Oh, forget. Do you know what? Payback. I will get back to you, get even with you soon. So anyway, how's everyone doing? Ready for the day? Yes. So I'm here today. My last slide. Where's my slide? That didn't work. I'm supposed to have my hat on, guys, but it's not there. I'm here as a builder today, okay? I am here to learn tips and tools to build employee engagement. Is anybody else there with me? Builders. Yes, we're all builders, okay? And as a builder, not that I know how to build, ask my husband, the first thing that you need to do is lay the foundation. So since I'm first today, I thought I would sort of lay the foundation of all the things that we as builders need to know about employee engagement, okay? So I'm going to get all of that stuff out of the way so that all of the brilliant builders that follow me can build on top of it and help us build the most amazing engagement and the best engagement bridges as possible. So what does that mean? I'm going to answer 4 questions. What is employee engagement? Lots of definitions out there. Why is it important? Why do we need to be rebels? Ollie talked about that a little bit. I'm going to add on to that. And then how? How can we start building our foundation for employee engagement? It would help to press the green button. Is anyone else bad at following instructions? Sorry about that. How many times will Debra Corey go backwards? I am a rebel. I like to go backwards. Okay. So think of an engaged employee and think of some of the words that you would use to describe them. Yeah? Well, I Googled that. And these were some of the most common words. What do you think? Yeah, good, bad? Rubbish. They're rubbish words. This is my first rebellious thought. Okay, why are they rubbish? Well, these first 3 words could be used to describe anything, okay? Susie is passionate about going to her birthday party. Johnny is committed to getting an A in science. To me, that's not necessarily what we're trying to do in employee engagement. It's an output, but to me, it's not enough. How about these words? Lovely words, and we all want our employees to be satisfied, energetic, and happy. But is anybody in the room besides me an engaged employee? Yeah? Has anyone ever had a bad day when you're not happy? And do you miraculously all of a sudden not be engaged? I don't think so. So again, I think these words are nice, they're lovely, but they're not going to make a difference when it comes to engagement. So let me tell you what I think engagement is, all right? So engagement is 3 things. First of all, engaged employees understand and they believe the direction the company is going in. And I don't mean that they know what the sales figures are or the profit figures. Those are all good, but they need to know so much more, don't they? So I am a bit of a storyteller. Let me tell you my first story. This is a story about Zappos, who's an online retailer in the US. And I visited their office in Las Vegas, and I was talking to one of their help desk people. And I said, what is it that engages you? What is it that makes you want to come to work every day? And she said, you know what, I feel like I can really make a difference. I understand what the company's trying to do. And the story she told me was that she had a customer who called her and said, I'd like to return 5 bridesmaid dresses and 5 sets of shoes. So the help desk person, understanding what the company was trying to do, got into a conversation with this customer. And what she found out was that actually, the reason she was returning these is because her fiance canceled the wedding a week before the wedding. Can I hear a boo? Boo. I mean, is that horrible or what? So this fantastic help desk person, again, knew what was going on in the company. And she not only said, don't worry about it, return it, we won't charge you any money. But she took it that one step further because she knew that it was all about a long-term relationship with the customer. And she sent her a $100 spa voucher with a handwritten note and said, I know you're going through a hard time. Take care of yourself, have a good time. Brilliant. Brilliant example of somebody understanding. Second, they need to understand how their role impacts and contributes. That Zappos person, she got it, didn't she? She knew that by her taking that extra step, it would help her business succeed. There's another lovely story, you might have heard this already, about John F. Kennedy, a president in the United States. And he was at NASA, he went to visit NASA, and he asked a cleaner, what's your job? And the cleaner said, my job is to get the next man to the moon. The cleaner said that that was what their job was. Again, they understand their role and how they contribute. Every single employee in your company needs to understand what they're doing to help your business succeed. And speaking of succeeding, the last part of what an engaged employee really looks like is that they genuinely want their company to succeed. And this is where the magic happens. This is where you get people who make that extra effort, that spa voucher, where innovation happens. And I take this story from a great book called Rebel Talent. And the story is that this pastry chef was delivering a lemon tart to a customer. And he dropped it on the floor. Sounds like something I would do. And instead of looking at this as a mess, he looked at it as an opportunity for innovation. And he created a deconstructed lemon tart. That is the dish. And it is the best-selling dish on the entire menu. That's what happens with innovation. So I'm sharing this with you at the beginning of the day because my first challenge to all of you is to go back to your company and think about how you are achieving those first three things. How are you helping your employees understand really what's going on in your business, how they fit in, and then giving them the opportunity to flourish and create their own deconstructed lemon tarts. So let me flip it. What does a disengaged employee look like? Anybody have disengaged employees? Hopefully not too many of them. I thought I would show you what disengagement looks like in pictures. This is a disengaged employee. I have 2 teenage children. This is what everything I ask them to do looks like. This is a disengaged employee. They either can't be bothered to learn how to spell the word school, or if they spell it wrong, they don't admit that they made a mistake. And that is a problem with disengagement. We all make mistakes, we're all human, but you want people who aren't going to try to brush it under the carpet. You want people who are going to admit your mistakes and do something about it. Get ready for this next one. This is a disengaged employee. His job is to push flammable fuel, and he's got a cigarette in his mouth. So what this shows me is that disengagement doesn't just impact the person who is putting himself at risk, but it also impacts every single person around him. Every other person out there is being impacted by disengagement. So obviously, who would you prefer on your team? I think I know the answer: engaged versus disengaged. So why is it important? Well, first of all, we don't want sticks on the roads, people who can't spell, and people who are causing risks to our business. But let's look at some other statistics. I'm just going to share a bunch of these. There's tons of them out there, but the reason I want to share these with you is because we all know that sometimes we need numbers to convince our leadership team, so here's 6 of them for you. 18% higher productivity, 2 times higher profit. I've even read 3 times higher profit before. 2 times higher customer loyalty. Think of that Zappos person. 67% lower turnover, 37% lower absences, and 41% safety incidents. How many more numbers do we need to convince our leaders? But the good news is they get it already. They understand that engagement is important. 71% of them get it, okay? Unfortunately, when we ask those same leaders, do you feel that you're doing engagement well? Unfortunately, only 24% said well. So the good news is a lot of us already have our leaders on our side. It's just about now making the magic happen. So why do we need to be engagement rebels? Now, Ollie shared the global number. This is the UK number, okay? So 3 out of 10 globally, 1 out of 10 in the UK. Now, just to make you feel a little bit better, I did a talk in Hong Kong, and they're 6%, okay? So we're a little bit better in this country than they were in Hong Kong. But it's still not good, is it, guys? And as Ollie said, it's only increasing 1% at most. We're never going to get there. Now, if you were on a diet and you were only losing 1% of your goal every week, would you stay on that diet? I don't think so. So that's what being a rebel is about. First of all, admitting that it's not working and doing something different. And I'm admitting it myself because I've been doing HR for over 20 years. I'm part of the problem. I'm part of the reason these numbers are bad, which is why I'm so passionate and committed to helping people change those numbers. because the cost of disengagement in the UK is 52 to 70 billion per year in lost productivity. And I challenge you to look at your disengagement scores and figure out what it's costing your business and put those numbers in front of your leadership team. So I think you would all admit that it's time to start doing something different, but that's where the fun begins. So I'm going to start out with the foundation, starting us thinking about different things, and then I'm going to hand it over to the other builders to fill in the blanks. Engagement bridge. Half of you said you read the book. I should quiz you all and say if you know all 10 elements. For those of you who have not read the book, let me introduce you to the engagement bridge. And this is really the lens that we use to look at for employee engagement. There's 10 elements to the bridge, and as Ollie mentioned, there's going to be different work streams talking about all of them. But let me just start you out by giving you a couple rebel behaviors and a couple stories, of course, because stories. Now, I've done something a bit different. I hope it works. I have not included one play from the book. So the stories in the book are called plays because it's a playbook. I'm saying it hope it works because hopefully I remember them all. So in the book there's 60 plays, but today you've got some new ones. I haven't even written some of them up. That's how new they are. So the first element of the bridge I want to talk about is open and honest communications. Now this is where it all starts. This is truly the foundation of employee engagement. As a communications person, yes, very important. It is the foundation of the bridge. So, key rebel behavior, I challenge you all. Next time you do a communications, I challenge you to be transparent and to default to transparency. Start with the truth. How many times do we not share the truth with our employees? How many times do we tell them half-truths or even lie? Susie is leaving the company to spend more time with the business. Who believes that? I mean, seriously. Do we think that our employees just don't understand? They know when we're not telling them the truth. They make up their own truths, and it's usually worse than what we have to say. So be transparent, default to transparency. I usually picture Glenn, my co-author, on my shoulder every time I have to do a communications to my employees saying, why aren't you telling them that? Why aren't you telling them that? Now, since he's not here today, you can picture me on your shoulder. I've got a louder voice. So be transparent. Story I want to share with you is actually from Reward Gateway, okay? And one of the things that Reward Gateway does really, really well is be transparent with their employees. So Doug Butler is the CEO, and since he's been the CEO, he's done something which I think is amazing, and by all means, if you're not doing it already, I would borrow this. He has a CEO blog. And every single week, he writes a blog, and he's very open, very honest, very transparent, shares the good things happening in the business, the challenges that are happening in the business, what's happening with people, and he recognizes them. More people read this blog than anything else on our communications portal. That's how powerful it is. When Doug talks, people listen, okay? So think about that. How can you have communications transparency start at the top? Try to convince your leadership team to do something like this. Second, purpose, mission, and values. We're going to be having people talk about this also. This is our North Star. This is what gets us to the top of the mountain and the behaviors that get us there. The thing I'd like you to think about is embedding your values, but also making sure that you get the right values to begin with. I wrote an article for Forbes, and I looked at the top companies, top 100 companies of Forbes. If I had taken away the company names, I wouldn't have known who they were. That's how generic, that's how vanilla they are. Put some flavor, put some sprinkles, add your own to your values. This story is about a company called SearchShore, who's a construction company. And they decided to look at their values again, like many of us do. And they did a great thing. They went out to their employees and they asked their employees. The feedback they got from their employees was that their values that they had were wordy, couldn't remember any of them, and they just didn't really make an impact. So these are the new ones that they put out there. And I think you'd agree, they are much better. They definitely tell their employees what are the behaviors that they need to make sure that they're successful. And the other great thing that they do, I can just picture them doing this, is they rolled out their values at an event like this, at an all-employee meeting. It's a great idea to really leverage other things going on in the business. And as every employee went into that meeting, they all got a goodie bag, and everything was branded with their new values. And they shared with them how important the values are and how it's the foundation of everything that we do. And actually, my next book is on purpose, mission, values. So if anybody wants to grab me at a break and you have a good story, you can be in the next book. Next one, leadership and management. The reason that leadership and management are next to each other is because leadership is what you say and management is what they do. And if they're not linked together, ooh, trouble happens. I just wrote a blog because my 17-year-old daughter just started working, and the blog was entitled, What Pisses Me Off at Work? And it was all the things that pissed my 17-year-old daughter off. And the first thing that she told me was hypocrites. People who say one thing and do another. She is your future workforce, okay? And they're going to tell you if you're pissing them off. So make sure that you have alignment with this. Wanted to share a couple statistics on the power of leaders and managers. There's a 70% variance in engagement scores just because of managers and management practice. 70%. 58% of people said they trust a stranger more than their boss. How sad is that? 75% of people, 3 out of 4 people, leave because of their bosses. Okay? So what I'd like you to do is make sure that your leaders know these numbers. Make sure that your leaders, and I'm sure you all know this already, know that we in this room do not own employee engagement. They own employee engagement. They are the ones that are going to make a difference between the 70% score and the 10% score. We're giving you lots of tips and tools. Share it with your other builders. Get builders hats for everyone. Buy them all a book. I don't care, but make sure that they know that. The tip I wanted to share with you is on the flip side, which is what about management practice? And I do think that we, and I'm going to say we, meaning me also, I don't think we do a great job with our management policies. Going back to that piss off, I think we piss our employees off a lot with some of our management practices because we design them for that 1% of our employees who are going to abuse them, that 1%. And I think we need to be rebellious and flip it around and design our management practices for those 99% of people that we truly want to be engaged. This is a lovely news story. It's by a company called Perpetual Guardian, and they're in New Zealand. And I had the pleasure to meet the HR director a couple weeks ago in London. And they've done something very rebellious. It's been all over the news. They have gone to a 4-day work week. And not just any 4-day work week. They don't like make people work more hours, 4 days, so that adds up to 40. No, 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 no. Their employees work 4 days and get paid 5 days. And the reason they do that, it goes back to this trust. They trust their people to get their work done in those 4 days, and they also believe that they can be much more productive if they do it this way. Now, I'm going to be writing a play about that and share it, but they're finishing the pilot in July, so she told me she'd tell me how it all goes. But again, I think it's a really interesting approach to challenging how we think in the past. And instead of saying, we can't do this, give it a try. And she's done that with her employees. She's told them, you know what, this is a test, guys. If it doesn't work, we're going to go back to 5 days. Give it a go. Next, job design, learning, and recognition. The reason that these 3 are linked together is because it all starts with job design. So interestingly enough, I looked at the poll. Hardly anybody checked job design. So this wasn't part of my speech, but I'm going to challenge you all. I think it starts with job design. If you have a job which is not engaging, you're not going to be engaged, okay? Full stop. Think about how you can create jobs that are more engaging. In the book, we talk about making them more autonomous, okay? More than 2% of people should have job design on your agenda. You don't necessarily have to do every job, but I give you a challenge of at least looking at a certain percent of your jobs this year. Think about the jobs where people are leaving, and think about how you can create more engaging jobs. So you start with the job. That was my lecture, sorry. You start with the job. Learning. We have to do things about learning. It's a new world out there. Things are moving a lot quicker, and there's going to be lots of people talking about what you can do more rebelliously with learning. And then the last one is recognition. And recognition really is what tells our employees, are they on the right course? Are they going up the mountain in the right way, or do they need to go to the left? Do they need to go right? And it does a great job with that. There's going to be other people talking about recognition, but I just had to talk about it, and I'm very pleased that a lot of people clicked recognition. Did you know that 82% of people said that praise and recognition, it will improve their performance. So if you think about getting up that mountain quicker, recognition is going to help. I normally, when I talk about recognition, I say it turns us into superheroes. And I truly believe that recognition turns us into superheroes. But unfortunately, 8 out of 10 employees globally don't feel recognized. And that saddens me. It saddens me because I think every single employee should be able to benefit from being a superhero, and every single company should benefit from all of our superheroes helping us. So, one rebellious tip, and I know Alex and others are going to do tons more tips, is to make it continuous. It has to be something that is happening over and over and over again, or it's not going to make a difference. A company that's done a really, really good job with this is National Accident Helpline. I spoke with them at an event the other day, a couple months ago. And what they did, which is really, really brave, is they got rid of their traditional programs. Now, I've been in their shoes before, and I know how hard it is to change recognition programs that have been around for years. But he was brave and he did it. They had a long service award. They called it a retention bonus. And they had some peer-to-peer awards that nobody knew about and nobody was using it. And what he did is he created 3 new programs, and he ditched the long service awards. I think you must have read that in the book. Ditched them completely. Still celebrated them, but I think he was spending, hundreds of thousands, and he realized he wasn't getting any value out of it. So instead, what he did is he turned on e-cards, so day-to-day continuous recognition. He put in star awards where peers could recognize people, and then he put it in manager awards. So what he did is he took something that was not continuous and he moved it to something that was flowing and continuous, and engagement scores improved. So for this one, I know it can be tricky, but it really, really makes a difference. So the last 3, do you notice how they're a little bit different? Yeah? Those are called the supporting elements of the bridge. So all the other elements are called the primary. These are supporting because these on their own are not going to hold up our bridge. But without them, our bridge is going to slip and fall down. And I think these are some of the areas, and I am a rewards person, so again, I can blame myself. I think these are some of the areas that we have not been doing a good job in over the last couple of years. So I think it's really important when we think about pay and benefits is to create programs that are going to truly drive performance, okay? So I've got 2 stories from you, and interestingly enough, they're both from the Philippines, doing some interesting things in the Philippines. I haven't written this play up yet. I literally just interviewed the woman from Task Us. Get ready for this one. I'm not saying you should all do this. So for pay reviews, you know how pay reviews normally, the leadership team gets together, they figure out pay increases. Their new approach, which they're trying out, is like an X Factor. So what happens is they have an X Factor panel of leaders who are the judges. And any employee, get this, any employee up to 2 times a year can get in front of the X Factor panel. Yes, they do this. And they can put forward the reason why they should get a pay increase. They get, I think, 3 minutes to create a video, and she shared with me some of the videos, and they're really interesting, they're really creative. Now, before you think that this is going to cost tons of money, actually, she said the great thing is that people are sort of filtering themselves out, realizing, you know what, there's no way I can stand in front of this panel because I might not have done that great a job. So it's still early days. So again, I'm going to come back and interview her. But what I love about it is she's brave. She's trying new things. She realizes it's a new world, and her employees are loving it. This is another bizarre one. This company, unfortunately, hasn't come back to me to let me interview him, but I will not give up. It's a company in the Philippines, and what the leader, the CEO, realized was that when you go out on a date, you come back feeling energized, you come back feeling positive and more productive. So he came up with a benefit that sort of takes those ideas. And they pay for employees to go on, I think, 3 dates a year, whether you're married or not, 3 dates a year, I know. They also pay if you want to go on a dating app. And then this bit I love. Again, I don't know how true this is. This was written. They also get 1 day off a year for breakup leave. I don't know what happens like if you break up 2 or 3 times, but again, thinking outside of the box. Brilliant. So, let me end this with a couple more foundational things. Let me give you some ideas so that when you hear all these great ideas, you can go back and be a rebel, whatever that looks like. We're all different types of rebels, all right? I'd like you to put on rebel hats, and I don't know where Betta is, but Betta in the marketing team is brilliant at putting hats on me. This is my first hat. As a rebel, I want you to create your own magic. I just shared with you just a few stories about how magic can happen. Think of yourself as a magician. It will work. You put the effort in, and numbers will change. This is not really my body. She puts my face on things. The next one is to be curious and ask why. Think about how you were as a child, and you were always asking, why is the sky up in the morning, in the day, and not in the night? Be curious, challenge yourself. Next time you look at one of your HR practices, policies, communications one, challenge yourself. Think about, why should I really be doing it? Is there a better way to do it? Is there an X factor way of doing it? She had to put me in a Sherpa. No, you can't do it alone. There is no way, and I can tell you from experience, that you can do it alone. The best way to get people coming up the mountain is to have some leaders with you. I was very privileged at Reward Gateway because my leadership team got it. But I have been in organizations where they don't get it at all. So I've been in your shoes. Get some of the leaders who do get it, or convince them about the importance. And get them on your team, and get some employees on your team as well. And then finally, be brave and have no fear. I just mentioned to you that I've been in situations before where people are challenging you and giving you a hard time, but remember why you're doing it. You're doing it because you want to help employee engagement. You want the numbers to increase. You want your business to do better, and be brave and do it. Has anybody realized what's going on behind me? This is a video of me at my age doing a flying trapeze, and that is me catching, not the person hanging upside down. That is me catching. And I show you this because if I can do that, you can do anything, okay? So I challenge you all to join the revolution. If there weren't so many of you, I'd have you do a star jump. So instead of doing a star jump, we're builders, right? And this is being taped, so I want it to be really, really loud. Anybody know Bob the Builder? Can you build it? So I'm going to say, get this right, can you build it? And you guys are going to say, yes, I can. Okay, so that was practice. Are you ready? Can you build it?
Yes, we can.
Well done. You're in the revolution. You are a rebel. Thank you very much.